Hey, what's up guys? Drew here over at RevHiker Outdoors. Welcome to another episode of Knife Thursday. And today I'm going to be reviewing the new Benchmade Pardue Hunter. So stick around. Okay guys, so welcome to the review of the new Benchmade Pardue Hunter. I think Benchmade killed it with this knife, honestly. I think they did a great job, not only on the sheath, but on the knife itself. And I'm going to get into some pretty cool things that I like about this blade. And I'll get into the one thing where, depending on your use, it could affect you negatively. But anyway, I'm going to roll in a bunch of shots. I took a bunch of video of this thing, of me making some venison stew and cutting up some meat and cutting up some other stuff. Right off the bat, this thing was great in the kitchen. But let me show you the knife before I get into that. I'm going to do some swiping shots and stuff like that. But let's just look at this thing. This is Benchmade's buckskin that they use on other knives like the Benchmade Bushcrafter. This one is a prototype from August 2017. My camera does not want to focus, but hey, there we go. And you can see the blade's a little bit dirty. I have been cutting quite a bit with this. Very sharp out of the box. And just so you can get an idea of the size of this thing, I wear size XL gloves, okay? And I got a little bit coming out. Basically, if you're going to categorize this thing, you got a 3.5 inch blade and 8 inches overall. Both of the numbers are just shy of 3.5 and just shy of 8 inches, but it's essentially an 8-inch knife with a 3.5 inch blade if you want to put it into a class. Full flat grind here. Got this jimping on top, which is very nice, okay? This is jimping the way jimping should be, okay? It's there, and it's enough to where you can get grip on it, but it doesn't rip anything up, and it's not purposeless either. You can lock in on it. It doesn't just, it's not there for looks, it's legit. All these fasteners are pass-through, and you can remove these with a 3/16 Allen wrench. Let's see, the milling on the inside of here is quite nice. These barrels, the female side has a flat on it, which corresponds to a flat mill on the inside, and so the barrels don't spin as you try to remove this. You only need one Allen wrench and it takes out all three. So for making custom scales or putting a lanyard through here, works great. Now that's kind of the overview. The sheath, let's hit the sheath real quick. I am not a huge fan of the Benchmade Bushcrafter sheath. Okay, it's a low style sheath with a snap closure, and as much as the leather is really nice, I don't like snap closures. Okay, this one is much better. This is a pouch style sheath. Okay, very good retention on this thing. There is just absolutely no way that knife is going to come out of there. So very good retention on the sheath. You can see there's only maybe 1.5 inches of the handle sticking out, at the top, and slightly more on the bottom because of the way this is cut. Belt loop is nice and high, stitched in there nice. You could easily make this into a dangler, but I like it because it hangs low on your belt anyway. There's hardly anything sticking above this belt loop, which makes it much more convenient for carry. Now, I'm a left-hander, so whatever. I've just kind of learned to deal with knives like this. There is a plastic insert in here, and there is no drain hole at the end, but that's easily remedied should you choose with a little drill bit. Let's get on to how this thing cut, because this thing was great. I'm going to roll in some footage of me using this in bushcraft style stuff and more hunting style stuff, because if we're being honest, this is a hunting knife and it's designed as such, and for a hunting knife it functions beautifully. This thing goes through meat like nothing. I had my wife use this. I said, hey, you're making dinner, go ahead and check this thing out, see what you think. And it cut very well. And she's like, for a kitchen knife it's a little short, but I guess what I'm saying is for cutting up meat or skinning, I was removing the silver skin, also known as tallow, on the back straps as I was cubing them up, and this thing was great for that. So just by the way it handles, I know that this knife would be good for skinning. If it, some people like a smaller one for skinning, but this will definitely handle skinning. It'll easily handle field dressing. It's not too broad, and if you're processing the deer, or you're boning it out to pack it out, this thing would work very well for any of those tasks. And even though this is a purpose-built hunting knife, and I think it's everything is designed just right for that, you can still use this as a bushcraft knife. Now, this is, I believe it's just over an 1/8 inch thick. I don't have the exact numbers. It's like 0.132 inches or something like that. So it's a little over an 1/8 and a little under 9/64 or something like that. So anyway, it's thick enough for just about anything, but there is some blade flex. So if you're one of these bushcraft guys that's really rough on stuff, you might find this is a bit thin. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but you can, if you really pry it, you can get some flex. And I did baton some firewood in my house, and I was prying a piece apart, and you could see the blade flexing. So this is not some 1/4 inch thick sharpened pry bar, and it is full flat ground. Okay, a saber grind would have a little more weight, a little more heft, a little more strength, but for what this is, it is very, very nice, and makes feather sticks really nicely. Like I said, it was batoning fine. And blade steel on this is, as seemingly most Benchmades are these days, if this ever decides to focus, is S30V. Okay, Benchmade is they've moved into using S30V for almost everything. I mean, sure, there's plenty of blades that don't use it, but their S30V is very prevalent, and they do an excellent job with the heat treat. So this thing has held an edge very well, came very sharp. So far I've been impressed with the whole package. Really like this leather, nice and soft, but good retention in here. Like I said, I can't find much fault with this thing as a hunting knife and as a light bushcraft knife. This isn't some 6-inch blade that's a 1/4 inch thick. You're not going to baton huge logs with this thing. You're not going to do that kind of stuff, and I mean, you wouldn't anyway, because the blade length is going to prevent some of that. But for basically 99.9% of what I do with a knife in the outdoors, this thing would fit the bill. These micarta scales are very comfortable. They're smooth, and yet still grippy, and these fasteners, almost in certain grips, you can almost kind of lock into them, which is kind of nice. They kind of fit right where your fingers want to be. So a lot of grip on this. You can see slight curve here, and a little bit of a swell down here, so it locks in nice. You're not going to do any chopping with this knife. It'd be a little silly to try. It's not what it's made for, but for hunting, for hiking, for bushcraft, this thing works really well. I mean, it's a flat grind, so is it going to dig in as hard as a Scandi grind knife? No, but it's more than sufficient. Like I said, I've rolled a bunch of stuff in, and I'm going to try to let some of that speak for itself, but very, very impressed with this knife. I believe they're releasing it very soon. It's at SHOT Show right now, and normally these knives that are new for the year usually get released shortly after SHOT Show. But my first impressions of this were great when I opened it up, and then as I started to use it, I liked it more and more and more. For me, very comfortable in hand. Just, you guys can get a feel for how it works. I use this with gloves on. I've used it, obviously just barehanded, and it works really well. And I don't know. I think that Benchmade did a great job. There's not much more for me to say. The knife is comfortable. The cutting performance is excellent, especially for hunting and light bushcraft tasks. The sheath is more than acceptable if you're a right-hander. Now, if you're a lefty like me, everything's going to be backwards. So when this sits on my hip, I pull the knife out and I have to, you know, it comes out essentially like this, and I have to flip it around so I can use it, because they'll all come out like this. So just something I've gotten used to. But love this knife. And full disclosure, Benchmade did send this to me. Obviously you can't go and buy a prototype, but you guys know that I've been a Benchmade guy for years before I ever got a knife from them. And I think I saw one guy on Instagram when I posted a picture of this. You know, he's like, "Oh, such a vapid design from Pardue. You know, just falls flat." I'm like, I don't know. To me, I think it's a really handsome looking knife, but this one guy thought it was flat and ugly and vapid. So whatever. He was probably just looking for an excuse to use the term vapid because he, had a word of the day calendar or something. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. And if you've watched the video this long, I just want to remind you that probably in a couple weeks here, maybe when I get back from India or something, I'm going to be putting together a giveaway, and it's going to be a secret giveaway, and it's going to be for people that watch my videos to the end. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. God bless you guys, and I will catch you